So any deal that comes down the pike, if it's union construction jobs, is Eureka. That's the new Connecticut. So we're buying into the magic bus. We're buying into doing more highway road repair. We were supposed to get 300 million the other day, I can't remember the number. We got like 60 million. We're buying into the Yukon Health Center, which was going to be 350 million. We all thought that was a lot of money. No, that's not enough. Now it's going to be $900 million. By the way, no federal money. How do we get to 900 million like this? There's a magic wand that appears. The 350 becomes $900 million, and everybody's thinking, wait a minute. All of you represent certain areas of the state. I guarantee you, the hospital board that you're on or you're associated with or you know about, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. There's economic uncertainty. By the way, they're being taxed by the state again. So all of our hospitals, 34, are suffering. They're in trouble. They're being taxed. They're economic engines in all of our neighborhoods. And now, out of nowhere, we're going to build a $900 million tower, medical center, beds, in the middle of the state, and 16,400 jobs. I always tell Pastor Will, make sure you use specific numbers. If you use specific numbers, everybody thinks they're real. Don't say 15,000, say 16,400. Not even close. Whatever one of these projects are, we are better off going to the union halls and handing $100,000 checks to all the union contractors and say, stay home, here's 100 grand. We would save millions, maybe even billions over the period of time, if that's the goal, to get those jobs out. And unfortunately, we know that is the goal. So now, let's roll the tape a little bit. What's happening in other states and what's happening here on this side of the ledger? They're holding the line on taxes. They're cutting spending. The city of New Haven, John DeStefano, not exactly a WTIC listener, very liberal mayor, is privatizing janitorial services, just in the city of New Haven. How much do you think he's saving? Just privatizing janitorial services. $7 million. So when you have the likes of Andrew Cuomo and John DeStefano privatizing and holding the line on the political power of unions, what are we missing? And so what are we doing in Connecticut? Well, of course, we all know. We raised taxes by at least $1.5 billion, probably closer to $2 billion. We've increased spending by 5%, but that's not enough. While all these other states are pandering to businesses, the people that actually create jobs, we're pandering to the unions. And that's all this is. There's no justification for a lot of the legislation out there. They're pandering to the state employee unions, and they're pandering to the construction unions. And the pandering is these public works projects. It's the gag bill. You read about that? They're actually going to tell businesses how or what they can say to their employees. And I know people get upset when I call it the gag bill, but it is. We got the transgender thing going on this week. If you told me I'd be talking about this on the radio, I'd say, you're out of your mind. That's never going to happen. And today, probably in the next couple of hours, we'll be the first state in the United States of America to have mandated sick leave, paid sick leave, mandated by the government on our businesses. Now, this is all well-intentioned. It's good politics. I was reading, I guess it's called CEO Magazine, and reading through it last night, and something jumped out at me. It was a CEO that's being interviewed, and they're talking about creating jobs, and they were rating the states. And of course, we're number, 44 in terms of job growth. We're one of only 2 states that's had 0 job growth over the last 20 years. One of only 2 states. And so the CEO had made a comment that really clicked with me last night. He said when they're looking at hiring people, they have to determine what their economic responsibility is. And you know what? I thought that was really well said. Employers, folks like yourself, employers in the state and employers in the other 49 states, when they're making a determination about hiring people, they have to determine what their economic responsibilities are. That means the pay, that means the benefits, that means the various mandates, unemployment comp, workers' comp, all of those issues. And we are losing big time. Because while these other states are taking on the unions, while they're taking on spending, while they're taking on the tax issues, we are 180 degrees the other way. We're going out of our way, obnoxiously going out of our way to insult businesses, whether it's the gag bill, whether it's mandated sick leave, all these other issues, whether it's the concession package, whether it's the tax packages, whether it's the regulations, whether it's slapping all the hospitals across the state in the face by investing $1 gazillion in a public university that has just a handful of beds. And that word is out. It's out here in our own state, and of course it's in the other states. Now you'll say, well, what about our surrounding states? Well, I mentioned New York. In Massachusetts, the state that we all made fun of, in Massachusetts, they passed a bill 111 to 44 just the other day to curb collective bargaining rights of public employees in Massachusetts. Unbelievable. And we have a concession package that's going to save $1.6 billion. There isn't anybody in this room or state employee that believes that number. Because we know from listening to the state employees that $1.6 billion would cost each state employee $16,000 a year. Those are the numbers that have been bandied about. When people ask me, what's the real number? What's the package? What works, what doesn't work? All you need to know is one thing. Do you hear the state employees screaming bloody murder? Do you hear them screaming? Lowell Weicker cut maybe $200 million in a union concession package. I got maybe $200 million out of the early retirement plan. The Rowland administration got maybe $200 million in concessions. And people dressed up as rats, they protested, they sued me, all these things occurred. And all of a sudden, $1.6 billion is out there. And what are you hearing? Well, we're concerned about the CBAC package. It's only going out for another 11 years. That's a guarantee on the health care and the pension that this governor made fun of for the last 4 months, which he now extended an additional 5 years on top of the 6 years that are still hanging out there. So as you kind of step back, it's like, holy smokes, what is going on? Why are we doing it? Why are we adding insult to injury? Why are we, being less competitive? Why are we not understanding that there's economic responsibilities that all of our employers and people that are thinking about moving to our state have to take into consideration? And so there's no question in my mind that the pandering to the unions is going to have consequences. The 10 years that I was in office, I was constantly looking at employment packages and incentive packages from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And it drove me crazy. They dangled stuff to our employers like you couldn't believe. That's been our battleground for the last 50 years. Our new battleground, Smithfield, Rhode Island, East Greenwich, Rhode Island. They just took two major, didn't take the entire employer in both cases, but that's where they're growing the jobs, in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. Cambridge, Mass. Pfizer chooses to grow the jobs there. Armonk, New York. We lost a company in Waterbury to Armonk, New York. The point is we're losing now to the people that we made fun of, our neighbors. We'd made fun of Massachusetts and who would ever go to New York, and our costs are better and our quality of life is better. And the truth is that we're knocking ourselves out of competition. And so there are consequences to these actions. And today what I wanted to leave with you, and I'll jump into Q&A. Today what I wanted to leave with you is that we got to make a decision. We got to make a decision whether we're going to let the legislature continue to pander to the various special interest groups and knock us out of the competition. So many people are going to Florida for 6 months in one day. I won't point to anybody in this room. Wealth can move. It's not really complicated. Technology is such that people can have businesses anywhere. On a houseboat, they can go to Florida, they can be anywhere. And we are slowly but surely helping people make those decisions. There was a survey done by probably the Yankee Institute. I don't know if it was or not, but I'm going to give them credit. And the question was, have you ever thought about moving out of the state of Connecticut because of taxes? 58% of the people said yes.
70%.
70%.
CBI
CBIA did 58, the Yankee Institute was 70%. Do I hear 80%? Do I hear 80? Do I have 80% over there? Do I hear 85? We're not making this stuff up. I get callers all the time, every day, saying they're out of here. Now here's the other question that I was having some fun with a few moments ago, and I won't point to any future retired state employees. How many state of Connecticut pension checks, state employee retirement pension checks, how many of those checks do you think get sent to Florida every day and every year? Quite a few. You know why? Once they've retired, they can go down to Florida and live like kings on their pensions. They go down to the villages. You ever been there? What a weird place that is. That's a very weird place. They drive around in their golf carts like a bunch of clones. It's a scary, scary place. I gave a speech down there about a year ago, and these people would walk up to, "Are you staying with us?" I'm out of here. And it was like 80% retired state and federal employees living on 50 grand a year and living like kings in there. And they have them all, have you seen the golf carts? They got them all converted to, like, you know, their favorite teams and stuff. But my point is, you're going to have a combination of our state employees enjoying the retirement down there, and anybody that has wealth, they got to go down there, or somewhere else for 6 months and a day, if you're ever going to transfer any wealth. So here's the dilemma. We're losing that aspect of it. We're losing our competitive edge. Perception is reality. That's the issue. Perception's reality. We are doing everything we can, like today's action, to be the... Why do we want to be the only state in the country to have mandated sick leave? Somebody explain that to me. Why? Even all the newspapers have gotten together and said this is a really stupid idea. And so we want to drive the perception that you'll be punished, that we're in control, the government's in control. Half this stuff is unconstitutional. The gag order stuff's been termed unconstitutional. We got a state budget that's in violation of the state constitution. We just beat the skullduggery tax, if you're familiar with that, thanks to Senator Joe Markley. But here's the real issue, the one that hits a little bit closer to home for all of us, especially those of us that have grown up here, started businesses here, been working here, maybe a few generations. What are the chances of our children and our grandchildren living and working in this beautiful state? That's the real issue. That's what's really, really at stake. Sit down with your kids this weekend over Memorial Day. I don't know what ages they are, or maybe even for some of you old guys, grandkids. What are the chances of them working in Hartford, Connecticut, or Waterbury, or even in Stamford? What's the chance of them affording to be able to live here, even if they had a job? So when I talk about the consequences today, affecting businesses, and here's how the other side defines the issue. Oh, there go those business guys again. All they care about is a profit. All they care about is money. They don't care about people. Baloney. But I used to always say to my staff, he who defines the issue wins the debate. And the guys on the left, the unions and the various other special interest groups, they've defined the issue. And they've defined the issue as business is bad. Therefore, government must tell us all what to do. And the more liberties and personal responsibility that we give up as individuals, as voters, as businesses, the state and federal government takes over. And it's a power grab. This is all about political power. That's what's at stake. And I feel very strongly that if you don't engage and we don't engage during these times, basically good economic times, people are kind of unengaged. Right now, laser-like focus. You all have, and all your friends, employers, and others, all have laser-like focus on the bottom line. You know what your membership dues are, you know what you're paying for paper towels, you know the salaries, you know the benefits, you know every nickel and dime, because you're watching them. And the question becomes, are you willing to incur more economic responsibility to hire more people? And the answer is, no way. Ain't happening. I can make do. And that's how businesses are thinking. That's how businesses that look at Connecticut are thinking. That's how the perception of our state is being rolled out. The perception that we're a public works agency and that we're going to take away the rights and the freedoms of people that want to provide jobs to our neighbors and to our kids and to our grandkids.